Good evening, everyone. Welcome back. I hope your spring break was restful. Let's see. And a much needed chance to recharge. As we return to our routines, I want to take a moment to reflect on where we are and, more importantly, where we're headed. This season is often a time of renewal and forward momentum, and I believe we are returning with renewed sense of purpose. For many of us, that purpose includes ongoing negotiations, conversations that impact the lives, dignity, and working conditions of our classified members. Let me be clear, what has been asked for are not luxury or outlandish demands. They are a base of essential, fair compensation, job security, and the respect in the workplace. These are not far-fetched, they are foundational. And in 2025, they shouldn't be up for debate. They should be up for a standard. As we continue these negotiations, I am hopeful that we can come to the table in open minds and share values, hopeful that we can finally agree on something that we could never divide us, which is equality, because equality isn't a buzzword, it's commitment. A commitment to fairness, to recognize the contributions of every individual, and to build a community where respect and equity are not just goals, but a reality. So let's return from this break, not just rested, but ready. Ready to listen, ready to speak, and ready to move forward together. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rodriguez. Hello, everyone. Sorry if my intro falls flat to President Francis' eloquent introduction. First, to Mr. Mendez, thank you for your support. I'm going to finally just address this because this is the heart of where we feel the need to address building unity. The incident that led to our president's leave showed us a variance of support among the board. It's time to move past that now. I believe in you. I believe in the service you have willfully taken in your service to this district. I've identified in previous addresses that the need to improve. I've identified some of the problems. Progress. What's that going to look like? I know everyone's going to get tired of hearing from me if all our communication boils down to is a 5-minute speech once a month lamenting about the need for progress. So I left you all my contact information. Hey, I'm up to bat right now. For us. Sometime between now and next fall, and to you also, Mr. Francis, let's make time to talk, get to know each other, see what issues we have and what we can do to best move forward. Please let's be in compliance with, all the policies, Brown Act, all that stuff. Would it be better to meet with you individually, talk, maybe meet with some of your teams and some of my team? Communication has been a valuable resource between us and the cabinet, and I am encouraged by our ability to continue to enhance the experience for our students and staff. I know that Dr. Oviedo is always open to talk. I think Mr. Jamero can attest that last time he met with us at the bargaining table, we had a good conversation about the staff perception and morale. Mrs. Fitzgerald, Mrs. Bozigian, Ms. Kuyman bear the tall order of negotiating a contract with a budget that's post-COVID relief funds. We don't always agree on everything, but we're having important communication. Communication is the most important key to any relationship. I know this is the part where I'm supposed to leave some inspirational quote. Please be inspired by our will and compassion to do whatever it takes. I'm sorry that I can't stay all night. I'm coaching and I work another job. I'm tired. We're all tired. So I just wish you all the very best for the rest of this semester. Unity.
Thank you, Mr. Bishop. Before you go out the door, I believe in you too. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our regular board meeting, April 8th, 2025. It's so good to see all of you. Thank you so much for being present tonight. I can't think of any other district I'd rather be a part of, and so I'm so pleased to serve as your board president. And I call the open session to order. We just emerged from closed session. Thank you for your patience. I know we went over a few minutes. No action was taken during closed session. And now we will proceed with our roll call next, correct? So Dr. Oviedo, will you lead us in doing roll call for us tonight?
Yes, Trustee Rodriguez Moisa.
Here.
Trustee Canchola.
Here.
Trustee Lopez.
Present.
Trustee Mendez.
Here.
Trustee Castaneda Gallegos.
Present. Thank you. And that will bring us to our Pledge of Allegiance. Jimena, would you be so kind as to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance tonight?
Of course. Everybody stand up, please. Put your right hand over your heart. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And now we will have our land acknowledgement read by Dr. Oviedo.
The Whittier Union High School District acknowledges our presence in the traditional ancestral land of the Gabrielino Tongva peoples, which includes the villages of Chokishna, now Santa Fe Springs, Sihate, now Los Nietos Whittier, and the village of Sijitna, now Whittier San Diego River area. This land remains unceded territory. Whittier Union High School District honors and respects the Gabrielino Tongva ancestors and their connection to this land.
Thank you, Dr. Oviedo. That brings us to item 5.01 as we consider approval of the minutes from the March 11th regular board meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. It's been moved by Mr. Mendez and seconded by Ms. Canchola. Any discussion on the minutes? I just have one edit to make, and it's very minor, but we make reference to a phrase that's pro warranto, that should be quo warranto. It's just one minor edit. And I'd like to thank Olga, because sometimes summarizing the minutes from a long board meeting can be a thankless job. You do a wonderful job, so thank you. No further discussion, I'll call the question. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you very much. Passes 5-0. Next item is another set of minutes as we consider approval of our minutes from our March 31st special board meeting. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. It's been moved by Mr. Lopez, seconded by Ms. Canchola. Any discussion on this item? Again, I just have one minor item under 7.01 section of the minutes where it says quo warrant. We just need to change it to quo warranto, and I think we're good to go there. Thank you very much. Any discussion? Seeing none, I call the question. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Abstain.
We have any opposed? And we have one abstention. So the motion passes 4-0-1. Thank you very much. This moves us to approval 6.01 as we consider approval of tonight's board agenda. Do I have a motion?
Also move. Second.
Thank you. Moved by Vice President Rodriguez Moisa and seconded by Ms. Canchola. Any discussion on tonight's agenda? Seeing none, I call the question. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you very much. Passes 5-0. And that brings us to recognition of a exemplary student from Whittier Adult School. And to introduce us to our special student, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Oviedo.
Yes, and it's my privilege to introduce our USEC principal, Dr. Margie Moriarty, who will be bringing up her student and sharing her amazing story.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Dr. Oviedo, for giving us this opportunity. Thank you to the cabinet and the board members for providing this opportunity to recognize a student. USEC, as you may remember, is composed of Frontier High School, Sierra Vista High School, the Adult Transition Program, and the Adult School. And we have members of the staff from all four of our schools here today. We rotate which school we recognize a student from. And this year, we chose the adult school because traditionally the first full week of April is California's Adult Education Week. So it seemed fitting to talk about the adult school. And Mr. Lopez, you're really gonna like this part. So you remember that in the last few years, we applied for and were awarded 2 consecutive English language learner healthcare pathway grants. And we utilized that money to open initially a medical assistant program. And then subsequent to that, we began a phlebotomy program in partnership with Cal Regional. And on the consent calendar later tonight, you're gonna see another local physician who is prepared to open their office to more of our students. So that's what we decided we should talk about. And the student that we're going to recognize tonight also, I think, really demonstrates the tremendous breadth of who the students that come to the adult school are, and how sometimes there's a perception that adult school is for students that maybe didn't finish high school, and this student is far from that. So without further ado, I would like to bring up Abigail Villanueva. So Abigail is from our cohort of the medical assistant students who finished in December. And Dr. Castaneda Cayares, you'll appreciate, she's a Cal High grad. She graduated in 2018. She has a bachelor's degree from WUHSD in biological sciences and public health, and she aspires to be a doctor. And so, as I said, sometimes the breadth of the students that we invite into the adult school and can benefit from our programs is really surprisingly broad and deep. She came to us because she needs medical hours. She needs clinical experience in order to apply to medical school. And one of the students in our previous cohort recommended the medical assistant program to us. And she is exactly the type of student that this program was designed for. As a bilingual, biliterate person who can translate for a doctor who does not speak another language, she is the bridge to the Spanish-speaking patient who's coming into that program. When Abigail finished our program in December, you may remember that's when Presbyterian Intercommunity Hospital had their cyber attack situation. And unfortunately, they were not able to take on our externs as they usually did. So she went out and found her own externship. And in addition to that, because the externship is part of our program and we were unable to meet that obligation to our students, we worked with our Cal Regional partner to reduce the cost of the phlebotomy program for any of those students in that cohort that wanted to do that. And even though she didn't really want to do phlebotomy, she did it. And she has discovered it wasn't as bad as she thought it was going to be. And so that's when the teachers were talking about what student to recommend out of all of our programs, she absolutely rose to the top of the class in both that medical assistant cohort as well as the phlebotomy program. Her teachers are here tonight from both programs. So from our medical assistant program, from my right to left, Sandy Partita, Kathy Johnson, Lavetta, Keston, and then of course the college from our college department. I would like to turn it over to Abby.
Good evening. Sorry.
Good evening.
As mentioned, I'm Abigail Villanueva. I'm a proud product of the Whittier Union School District. Here actually since mommy and me classes, and most recently since the medical assistant and the phlebotomy program at the adult school. For starters, I want to take a moment to express my sincere thank you to the board members and to the district as a whole for the unwavering commitment towards your students and the ample opportunities offered towards providing a quality education. So thank you. I would also like to take a moment to express my gratitude towards my family who I brought here today. I have my aunt, my grandparents, my parents, and my older sister, who is my older sister who's currently a second year in medical school, so I'm kind of just following after her footsteps. I would not be where I am today without your immense love and support. You have all been the foundation for my success, so thank you so much. And to my lovely instructors, Miss Kathy, Miss Sandy, and Miss Lavette, I'm simply a reflection of the wonderful instruction and education that was presented to me during my time in the program, and even afterwards with your continued support. As mentioned, I had to find my own externship, and that was not easy. It was no, 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 finally a yes, so thankfully. Thank you for your support. Both of these programs hold such rigor and success due to these wonderful women. It's pretty easy to forget the behind-the-scenes work that goes into creating an environment where the students not only thrive academically, but mentally and professionally as well, so thank you so much. The time, effort, and passion you pour into your work is not only showcased in me, but also within all my other peers. You have all played such a critical and instrumental role in my journey towards medical school by showcasing me the true values of a medical professional, which is empathy and integrity. I cannot recommend more both the MA and the phlebotomy program and all the positive impacts it has made towards the students in our community. So with that, I would like to end by stating that if you would like to obtain a free lipid panel, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Very well delivered. Do you prefer Abigail or Abby?
It doesn't matter.
Okay, good to know. Well, Abby, I imagine, well, first of all, we do have a certificate presentation we're going to give to you, then we'll have some time for pictures. But first, I imagine my colleagues would like to share some words of acclamation towards you and accolades. So let me start to my right. Mr. Mendez, would you like to share any words tonight?
Yes, Abigail, I'm so proud of you. It's great to know that we're producing high caliber people to work in the healthcare field, especially in phlebotomy. I hope you got that needle stuck once and not twice. You know, my elder sister started her career in the same area. She took some adult classes, ended up going to Rio Hondo, and she's enjoyed decades in healthcare. She was an ER nurse. She is now the director of the state health program in Idaho. So you can go anywhere in this field, and to know that you got your start here and we helped you, I'm so very proud of it. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Abigail, first and foremost, congratulations on everything you've done. I'm graduating from Cal High, USC, and on. So congratulations on that. And my daughter graduated in 2017 from Cal High, so you might know her, Yareli Lopez. In terms of being bilingual, super helpful. Remember, when you're a professional, demand bilingual pay. Why? Because it's a skill. You should get paid for it. And I see that your behaviors, in my opinion, are intrinsic motivations. They call it. Why? Because you found an externship on your own. You know the value of having an externship. So I commend you and thank you for that. I thank you for doing the homework on your own, finding something that's going to benefit you in the long run. So great job. And finally, please think about working in the community and giving back. Thank you. Congrats. Thank you.
Abigail, a couple of things. In terms of being bilingual and literate, that has such a huge meaning to our community, to this community. And it brought me back really quickly to an experience I had when I was about 12 years old. My 4-year-old brother got run over, and my parents didn't know how to speak English, so I had to go in the ambulance with my brother. And it was so traumatic. Right? But I was the one that spoke English, so I had to go with him and make decisions, medical decisions, that we could believe that at that age for my brother. So in any case, so you're adding so much value to our community with your background, and I'm truly proud of you because you're also going into an area that not a lot of people go into. So my hat's off to you. I also want to recognize you for your persistence. When people told you no, you continue knocking on those doors. And, as you said, Changanas, that's the way that you make it happen. And in terms of your panel volunteer request, I volunteer. So, let me know when we can do that. And I cannot wait to call you, Dr. Villanueva. Thank you.
Ms. Rodriguez-Muesa.
I'm going to keep this short because you've heard from some eloquent individuals already with sentiments that I would share. I look forward to the day to call you Doctora Villanueva. I hope that you pursue that interest in medicine and get to that highest calling and come back to serve us. And I did want to find out where the free lipid panel is. I want to know. So I've got to go in. So, felicidades. We're really proud of you. And come back. And don't forget us.
Abby, really briefly, I'll join my colleagues in the beautiful words that they've shared with you. And we're very moved, as you are, by your example, providing culturally competent care. And that image I love is the bridge to Spanish-speaking patients to be able to continue providing that culturally competent care. So important in our community. And I look forward to the day to call you Doctora as well. And I'm going to just read a snippet of the certificate that we're about to present to you on behalf of the board in recognition of the significant academic achievements and contributions to the Whittier Adult School and your community. The Whittier Union High School District Board of Trustees would like to commend you on your accomplishments and overall positive influence on others. And again, thank you for recognizing your teachers, your family. It takes a village, but you're the one that put forth the ganas. And you were resourceful, finding your own externship. That's amazing. You overcame so many odds to be in this position. I look forward to having you maybe take care of us as we get older. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and join you down in front, and then we'll have pictures. Board, would you like to join us for the photo? Join us, and then after, they'll go ahead and call for teachers, and then go adult school community, and then family.
I'm going to stand next to her.
Yeah, go ahead. Please do. Or, come on over. Do I take one by myself with her, or just the whole
No,
board?
entire board.
Entire board, that's what I thought.
Thank you. I'm kind of a baby.
That means you care.
Okay, ready? Everybody big smiles. 1, 2, 3. All right, perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Congratulations. So the adult school family, come on. Congratulations.
Thanks so much. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, we'll get in there in a minute. We want this one for the brochure.
Okay. Oh, great. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Let's do one more. 1, 2, 3.
Okay, now we'll get in there. Stay there.
Okay, ready everybody? 1, 2, 3.
Okay. All right, now the family. You want me to use your family?
Next, we're going to have the family and then the adult school families.
Let's go. Everybody ready? Big smile.
One more, just Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. So that moves us to item 8.01, community comments. And I've just been informed that we do not have community comments tonight. So we will move right to our student representative. And to hear our report representing Frontier High School, we have with us Ms. Helena Castillo, who already led us in the Pledge of Allegiance, and she has a report tonight. You have the floor.
Yes. Well, hi everybody. My name is Helena Castillo. I'm a senior at Frontier High School, and I have been in my leadership class for about 2 years now. So here's an update on activities at USEC. During the month of February, USEC leadership class facilitated a variety of activities in support of Teen Violence and Awareness Month. The week was filled with awareness messages for students, along with lunchtime activities such as our What is Love poster and Red Flag, Green Flag game. In February, our science class had the opportunity to attend a field trip to the WUHSD wetlands. Theater and music classes have also been added to our curriculum at Frontier. This quarter, our theater class will put on our very first theater production, Frontier of Greece. On March 19th, our Frontier and Sierra Vista soccer team played their very first home game. It was widely attended and they got the victory. We're looking forward to As you may have noticed, our new paint around campus. Thank you to our Board of Trustees, Superintendent and her cabinet, and our District Facilities Maintenance Department for the recent painting upgrades on our campus. The new paint gives our building a clean look, and we love the Frontier Blue that was selected. We have our Quarter 3 award ceremony coming up on April 23rd. During our quarterly award ceremony, we recognize USEC students who are top producers or selected students of the term by one of their teachers. Last quarter, we recognized 77 top producers at Frontier and 94 top producers at Sierra Vista, which means these students have earned 19 or more credits in quarter 2. April 24th, we'll be having our Spring Career College and Job Fair, where students will have an opportunity to network with local communities, leaders, colleges, and businesses. Students will have an opportunity to be hired on the spot for seasonal work. We proudly offer a career college and job fair twice a year in the fall and spring. April 30th is the USEC Dodgers Stadium field trip. We'll be giving Otani a run for his money. Last but not least, April 30th is our USEC blood drive in collaboration with the American Red Cross and our leadership class. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, would you like to?
Oh, that was just such a wonderful presentation you made.
Thank you.
And I think it's really appropriate, Ximena, that you represent the Aztecs.
I love it. I love it. I'm so happy to be here.
Excellent, thank you.
Very, very substantive report. I can tell you've been busy. Everyone's been busy. Yeah, this whole day, you're gonna be busy the rest of the semester. And I can't wait to hear about your success as you move forward. It's clear you bring so much energy. You get also much support from your fans and your colleagues in the audience.
Yes.
And I want to thank the staff that have worked with you as well, just to give you opportunities to work alongside you. So, well done.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And thank you guys. Excuse me, I have more to do.
You're excused and trying to go kick some more butt. Very good. Thank you so much, Ivana.
Of course.
And that brings us to, let me just pause and give her some transition time. Well, that was impressive. that brings us to our 9.02, employee representatives, employee reports. And we'll start with Mr. Matt Francis, representing WSDA. Good evening.
Good evening, family, friends, administrators, trustees, and honored guests. I'd like to thank all of my WSDA members for joining me tonight. It is my privilege to speak on behalf of the dedicated and passionate, I guess professional too, educators who make a profound impact on the lives of our students each and every day. As we move closer and closer to the end of the semester, I try turning it on. Yep. Stealing yours. Oh yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, this one's working now. We'll go old school, I'll just hand it off. Back in the day. Good evening, family, friends, administrators, trustees, and honored guests. I'd like to thank all of my WSEA members for joining me tonight. It is my privilege to speak on behalf of the dedicated and passionate educators who make a profound impact on the lives of our students each and every day. As we move closer and closer to the end of the semester, I've been thinking a lot about the tone we set. How we show up for one another, how we lead, and how we continue to support the students and staff in our district. And I found myself reflecting on this recently in a somewhat unexpected way while rewatching episodes of Ted Lasso. In one particular episode, Ted shares a quote that he attributes to Walt Whitman: "Be curious, not judgmental." Now, literary accuracy aside, it has never been confirmed that Whitman actually said that. The quote has stuck with me, not just as an educator, but as a leader. In this role, I have the privilege of listening deeply to concerns, to hopes, to frustrations, and to visions for a better future. And I found again and again that when we approach each other with curiosity instead of judgment, we open doors instead of building walls. Curiosity is just a posture. It's an invitation to learn, to listen, and to grow. When a student struggles in class, curiosity asks, what's going on beneath the surface? When a teacher speaks up about working conditions, curiosity wonders, how can we do better together? And when we encounter disagreement or tension, curiosity shifts us from defensiveness to dialogue. Coincidentally enough, I encountered a quote from William Arthur Ward on Sunday. He said, "Curiosity is the wick in the candle of learning," and that image resonates deeply with me. Curiosity is what keeps the flame alive. Whether in a student exploring a new idea, a teacher refining their craft, or a community figuring out how to best serve every learner. Without it, we risk growing stagnant. With it, we spark possibility. As we look ahead, we know that change can bring with it a measure of uncertainty. But in the midst of that uncertainty, we have an opportunity and a responsibility to recommit ourselves to what matters most. That means ensuring that every educator, every leader, every support staff member is equipped with the clarity, the tools, and the trust they need to keep students at the center of every decision. It also means refusing to lose momentum. Even in times of transition, we must continue to move this district forward with purpose, with unity, and with a shared belief in what our schools and our students can achieve. At our best, public education is built on that kind of curiosity, a belief that every student can learn, every educator can grow, and every system can improve. And we as educators, as board members, as leaders, are all in the business of keeping that candle burning. As president of WSEA, I want to thank you for your continued conversations we've been having. Some easy, some hard, but all important. I believe that curiosity will continue to serve us well when we look at the next steps in supporting staff wellness, improving school climate, and ensuring every classroom is a space where both students and educators thrive. Let's keep asking questions. Let's keep listening. And let's keep showing up for one another with open minds and a shared commitment to the success of our schools. Thank you for your time, your service, and your ongoing partnership.
I now turn to our board reports, item 10.01. And I'll start to my far right. Mr. Mendez, do you have a board report tonight?
Yes. Well, it's such a pleasure to have shared a moment with Abigail and see her promising future. Very self-assured, very promising, knows what her path is, and that inspires me. I'm sure it inspires all of us, is to be able to see that the guidance that our students can have. You know, and I think it's important for me to talk to my board members about why I'm here. You know, it's no accident why I'm here on this board. You know, how I got here. You know, I have essentially 3 missions in life, and one of my missions is being here on the board. To be a voice to the voiceless, to be a voice for those who are underfunded, underserved. And let me tell you about that history. When I grew up in Whittier, and I used to love going to the library in Uptown Whittier. But however, I used to have little white ladies with blue hair come across and spit at me and call me a wetback. That was my experience in the early 80s. And so I didn't know how to deal with it. I was very self-assured that I knew my family history. You know, my mother was born 2 blocks from that library. My grandmother was born 4 blocks at the Methodist Midwife Center. And so I knew about my history, but I needed to talk to somebody about how to handle discrimination at 12 years old. So I talked to my karate instructor, and I'm glad I had him because he recommended that I go out and find a Latino organization to join, so I could find a way of dealing with it. And I did. I found the American GI Forum. It was a congressionally chartered Hispanic veterans organization. So I started participating with them, and they were just in the middle of looking at districts in this area to challenge, post-census, to challenge to create into districts. And they were looking at Whittier Union and Rio Hondo College on creating districts. Now this was, you know, way over 30 years ago. And so I got involved with them, and I got to sit. I was mainly a fly on the wall, and I had the freedom of just hanging around them and getting advice from them and learning. So they were looking at the demographics in this area in Whittier, and they were thinking on whether to sue with MALDEF, Rio Hondo College or Whittier Union. And they chose Rio Hondo College because it was an easier win. All of the elected officials that were sitting on the Whittier Union, the Rio Hondo College board, were primarily elected from the Whittier Hills. And so we had political data and voting data that demonstrated that. Meanwhile, we had Olani, Pico Rivera, and South Whittier. So it was easier for this organization in MALDEF to challenge Rio Hondo than it was to challenge Whittier Union, because Whittier Union was consolidated district. It was harder to challenge. So we challenged that. I walked door to door and collected signatures in Pico Rivera and South Whittier at the age of 13. And so we were successful, and we got to create districts on Rio Hondo College, and I later became the benefactor of that, serving on Rio Hondo College for 21 years. Meanwhile, at Whittier Union High School District, it was the same pattern, just like at Rio Hondo College. Is the Whittier Hills, the LA Times did an article 10 years ago naming the Whittier Hills as the highest propensity voting block in LA County. So they determined who was on the high school board. So fast forward, the California Voting Rights Act, well, let me go back. So during that time when Rio Hondo College was challenged and Whittier Union was being looked at, is the birth rates were falling in the Whittier Hills significantly, and there was a lot of white flight. While that was occurring, South Whittier birth rates were increasing, and we witnessed is that 2 schools were closed in the South Whittier area, Monte Vista and Sierra. And so that was done so that other areas could be able to keep up their high school. So fast forward, California Voting Rights Act, I get the opportunity to serve South Whittier on this high school district. For the first time in 100 years, each community was given an opportunity to elect their own representatives, and that each community could have a voice. So I'm very fortunate that I was lucky enough to get elected, to be the voice of an underserved community, underfunded community, and I bring those issues here. And I'm appreciative that my colleagues are able to tolerate my advocacy sometimes, especially as we were dealing with the expulsion rates and we're dealing with low performance. There's significant low performance in South Whittier. At Carmela Elementary School, Carmela is in the lower 2 percentile in academic performance in state testing. So I've been curious, and I've taught these children who go to Carmela, who go to Graves, and then get sent out to 5 different high schools from that middle school. They all go to 5 different high schools. This is the only middle school where this occurs in the entire district. So I'm curious about that, and I was curious about why that occurred. The 2 high schools were closed, the middle schools go to 5 high schools. I'm concerned about the future of students in my community and whether or not they're gonna be able to increase their academic performance. And I've been consistent here in advocating for that and talking with my colleagues to talk about how we could increase the academic performance of the low performing students. Because I think they're worth it. I think it's worth it to be able to outreach, get the community college here to work with them. So there's a promise for their future. And aside from that, my other mission is which I'd like to share with my colleagues. You know, I'm American, I'm Mexican, I'm Apache, and I'm Yaqui. I am a member of the Water Clan. My role and my training from my grandfather was to seek out water sources, lead my people to those water sources, and protect them. I could walk and chew gum at the same time and be able to fulfill my mission here at Whittier Union College to help those underserved, underfunded students while also accomplishing my other mission elsewhere. So I'm very glad I'm here. I'm very proud, and I'm very proud of the work that I've done so far and with my colleagues. So that's my report. Thank you.
Thank you for your information. Mr. Lopez, your report. Yes, we'll be brief. Thank you, Mr. Chair. First and foremost, I want to thank BMA staff in creating the short videos, the sizzle reel. Awesome, and the way that you, the staff and BMA highlighted all the good things that we're doing here at Whittier Union. Thank you for that. And I want to congratulate the Lucerna golf team being ranked #1. Hopefully, Dr. Avila, please invite us if there's any meets, any competitions. And then also, we didn't get a lot of rain this time around, but I do see some concerns when I visit the high schools and certain facilities. And one of the things is the runoff and the flooding, and hopefully we can, Dr. Vera and the staff, hopefully we can address those concerns. It's a safety issue. And 2, it's not so welcoming if it's flooding. Just hopefully we can address it, maybe using Measure A, $8, or I don't know, whatever funding we can use to address those issues. And then finally, I did see a nice article on this Whittier alumni. Let me see if I can pull it up real quick. I think she was an advocate. Ms. Marky Wagner, class of 2017 from Lucerna High School. And basically, she's an advocate. And she found the school science, technology, engineering, and math instruction lacking and was determined to make a meaningful change to the curriculum. So I want to congratulate, highlighting her. She's a pioneer, and no pun intended, but that's pretty awesome that she did advocate and she got all these things done So we gotta recognize her leadership. With that, Mr. Chair, that's my presentation.
Very good.
Comments, please.
Thank you for your comments tonight, Mr. Lopez. Very much appreciated. Ms. Conchola, do you have a report tonight?
Yes, thank you. So I got invited by the Los Nietos School District, which is one of our partners districts, to join them to go see a play called The Incredible Book-Eating Boy. And so there was about 60 children and their families, and my children and I joined them, and it was just such a beautiful event. So, I'm trying to really, have a presence and a connection with our neighboring school districts, our feeder schools. And it was just such an enjoyable evening, not only with the staff from Los Nietos, but, with their families. So I felt very privileged to be part of that. Also, I did attend the virtual LACSA meeting on the 17th. And basically, one of the main topics was in terms of the immigration issues and our students, making sure that all of our staffs and all of our area districts keep our staff and teachers informed of what to do in a case where immigration ICE may show up. And so there's a lot of fear across, a lot of anxiety in some cases, and so I know that we're going to try to bring connect us with some of the additional communication that's going. But one thing that we did learn is that we all suspected on a daily basis things are literally changing, so we can only share so much information. And so we need to take some caution in terms of what's shared, because it might be true one day and literally be something different the next day. Also on the 20th, I got invited to facilitate a discussion with Rio Hondo College's president and CEO, Ms. Dr. Marlon Flores. We had a fireside discussion on Latina and educational leadership. It was very powerful. I was very proud because there was a lot of our Whittier Union alums that attended that event. A lot of folks from Pioneer High School grad, and some of our other school sites. It was very empowering because Dr. Flores really, was very candid in terms of her personal experience, what it means to be a leader, and not only in terms of the academic portion of her work, but she was very personal too, in talking about how her role impacts her immediate family. So it really felt like a fireside chat, because even though there was maybe 60, 70 people there, it felt still very intimate. So I did want to give kudos to our board president, because he put it together, and it was just very magical night. So I felt very grateful to be part of that. And the other thing, I know that all of our high schools have been having these events for our pre-freshmen, and just kind of getting the students onto the campus with their parents and talking to them about what this transition from middle school to high school will be like. And I have a son that's going to be studying at Santa Fe High School, and so I was looking at those events from two different perspectives, not only as a board member but also as a parent, and it's just it feels comfortable to know that our children are going to be in warm hands when they go to the high schools. And I just wanted to just publicly thank all of our high school staff at all of our high schools for all the work and preparation that goes to, really building that sense of comfort and a sense of welcoming to all of our chiquitos that are coming in from our middle school. So as a parent and as a board member, I express my gratitude. Gracias.
Thank you for your report tonight, Ms. Conchola. Much appreciated. And thank you for the kudos. It was my pleasure. Ms. Rodriguez-Mueza, do you have a report tonight?
Yes, I do. It's been a very, very busy time for me professionally in terms of what I do for a living. so I haven't been to as many of the events, and I apologize, I'm not gonna be able to make it to a few of the ones that are happening in the next few weeks. I would love to have been to the Whittier City Council to recognize our Cal basketball team, but I won't be able to make that. A couple things, and I also want to congratulate Trustee Panchola. I've heard phenomenal things about the speech. You're being very modest. You yourself are a Latina educational leader, and so that was, I think, a great reflection on our board as well. I want to comment on a couple things that I think are super positive, and then I know we've got our agenda item later about stuff we can talk about that I do have some concerns I'd like to bring up at that point. I do want to say congratulations to VMA, our media partner, our promotional partner. They gave us a nice report. I'm still very concerned that some of the stuff we wanted to have done hasn't happened. The alumni high profile, we've been asking for that for a while, so I'm really glad it happened. Now we got to pick one from every other high school, do it very regularly because we have some phenomenal folks. And again, I push this because I'm concerned about declining enrollment and the impact that has on our school and our staff and our survival as a district. Ultimately, what do we look like in 5, 10, 15 years? So whatever we invest today in those efforts to mitigate declining enrollment will pay dividends down the road. And so highlighting our alumni has been an idea that we've presented to the superintendent and VMA for close to a year now, so I'm glad that it happened. Similarly, Sheriff Luna is coming to speak to our students. Sheriff Luna is a former client of mine when he was the chief of police at the city of Long Beach. And I had discussed with the superintendent, let's bring him on. I think he'd be inspirational. He's class of 1984 from Santa Fe High School. An inspirational individual, and I think to promote, some of our ROP programs, the criminal justice, any of those programs I think will be phenomenal. I think the students will love hearing from him. I'm not sure if I can make it, unfortunately, because I have a conflict on the day that he's available. I'm going to see what I can do to rearrange it, but unfortunately, and hopefully it's recorded so that we can watch it if we'd like to. We obviously should congratulate 2 incredible students from Pioneer High. I'm saying the stuff that we get as a board. We got an Edison Scholar and a Dell Scholar out of Pioneer High School. Incredible accomplishments. And so we should be very proud of that. And obviously I know there's going to be a profile on that for the students. Because my concern is that our community doesn't know what a great treasure we have, how phenomenal our public school system is, how phenomenal our teachers are, our staff is, our administration, our leadership. And as a result, when parents don't know that, they look elsewhere and they have perceptions about what public school is like. And our school district is different. It's better. It's the best. And I know it can continue that way, and we just have to continue to promote it. And so I love the accolades that our students are getting. I am concerned about budget issues. We've got huge changes in the market, fluctuations. It started off okay, it ended down. And I'm hearing that Governor Newsom is already talking about this impact, the uncertainty on our state budget. I know we've had some, okay news, but obviously I'm looking forward to hearing about the May revise when I presume at our next board meeting, and to see where we are, because I think it is a time of great uncertainty, not just on some other legal fronts, but also I think on our economy. And then let me see, my last one is it's both an exciting time and a scary time for our students. They're getting their college acceptances or not college acceptances. So I want to congratulate all of our students who have wanted to pursue going to college and got accepted to their college. I look forward to seeing a lot of our students' accomplishments and their monthly or the year-end awards, and hopefully I can make it to a lot of those towards the end of April and May. So congratulations, Dr. Oviedo, for the VMA report, the alumni profile, our students who, you and the team are just phenomenal. So thank you very much for what you do, and let's keep it going.
Thank you very much for your report, Mr. Rodriguez-Mueza. And the great thing about going last is I don't have to repeat what's already been shared by my colleagues, so I can just get right down to the crux and the heart of the matter. And I want to start with talking about the importance of listening. And please indulge me if you will, but there were a couple of comments made at the March 31st meeting that I wanted to address. And they were made by one of the speakers that spoke during public comment. The speaker cited lack of urgency with respect to addressing negotiation-related items and the lack of urgency with respect to addressing students who need more support. And while I cannot and never can go into the details that happen in closed session with respect to negotiations, and far be it for me to negotiate from the dais, I would never go there, and neither would any of my colleagues, I can assure everyone that all 5 of us are always engaged in negotiations in closed session for probably 9 months a year. And it's very important to us. In fact, I don't know if you know this, but we placed such a high priority on our labor relations with CSCA that we made that one of our superintendent's goals for the 24-25 year. That's critical. This board has never done that before, but we felt, all 5 of us agreed, we reached consensus that was a really important thing for us to do. And we're doing it. And I say we, I'm talking about the collective we, not just the board, but all of you, cabinet, Dr. Oviedo, our bargaining units. We're doing it little by little. Thanks be to God that's happening. I'm so grateful to hear. So I have nothing but good things to expect moving forward. And as Mr. Lacey said, he believes in us, I believe in you as well. And I know that we're going to come to some type of an agreement at some point, if not next month, maybe this month, if not this month, maybe next month. But I know it's happening, and I know it's on the way. And with respect to that, the other item I wanted to make reference to was the CSC. I know you have a really big event coming up on Saturday, and I totally respect the reality of wanting to spend some more time with each other and to celebrate each other's accomplishments. And the board used to be invited at previous breakfast, and this year it's going to be a little bit different, and I totally get that. But I wanted to be able to just wish you well. At the same time that you're having that event, I'm going to be at the Interfaith Food Center putting together the tables and chairs for an event that we're having this weekend, and that's a really important event too, because this food pantry feeds all of our high school district. But I just wanted to wish you well, and I want to be able to be supportive of the scholarship that you have this weekend as well. So Luisa, I'd love to be able to connect with you after the meeting if you're still here. And thank you for being here at this meeting, everyone, and thank you for recording this as well. And really quickly, just want to be able to share that I did attend the top 75. Dr. Oviedo was there at Whittier High School last night. I was thrilled to be there, not only as a representative of the board, but also as a parent. My daughter got to give the Pledge of Allegiance, which was amazing. And kudos to Dr. Favela and the Whittier High School team for reconfiguring the top 75 ceremony. We were in the gym. We were able to have discussions with each other. It was just such a nice event, and the band sounded so amazing. So kudos to the Whittier High School band and to Mr. Mijares for his direction of the band and the entire team. I plan to be at the Whittier High School Alumni Hall of Fame event on Sunday. Looking forward to that. And then I know there are so many events going on with our sites, and I'm looking forward to attending as many as I possibly can. It is a busy time for me at work as well, so I will go to as many as I can the last half of April and the early part of May. We are in the home stretch, everyone, and so we recognize there's a lot going on. But we know there's a deep love for students among all of you, and there's a deep love for students with this board as well. So thank you, everyone, for all of your work. That concludes my report, and with that, I will pivot over to Dr. Oviedo for the superintendent report.
Thank you so much. So I want to start with, I had the opportunity with Olga to go to the funeral services for former Whittier Union High School trustee board member Joe Eduardo. And for those of you who don't know, Joe was longtime South Whittier resident. He served on the South Whittier School Board for several terms. He also was instrumental in helping the Measure RH, which Mr. Mendez, Trustee Mendez mentioned, to pass for Rio Hondo and move them to trustee areas. In 1984, he was actually named CSBA president. He was elected CSBA president and was the first Latino to be CSBA president coming from South Whittier. And then in 1987, he was elected to the Whittier Union Board. and served there for 1 term. And so he was truly a rocket scientist. If you don't know, he went to Caltech, received his master's degree from there, and worked for Xerox on several laser projects that were related to NASA and to defense, space defense. So really lost a wonderful human being that he did live a wonderful life. He was 94 years old when he passed, and surrounded by grandchildren and great-grandchildren. I also attended the top academic awards, and I want to feature Liz Correa. Liz Correa is a new assistant principal, assistant. She works in the business and activities office. She's a CSEA leader, I know, and she did a phenomenal job with yesterday's Cardinal 75. So she was very quick to give a lot of praise to everyone else. But I know for a fact that she was very involved in the changes that happened, and so I want to feature her. Looking forward to, I won't be at Cal High's recognition tomorrow, but my colleague, Deputy Superintendent Jamero, will be in attendance for me at that event. It is a very busy weekend, and so we, in addition to Tight Knit Review, which is happening on Friday and Saturday night, the Saturday matinee, there's also the Whittier Union Honor Band that's performing on Friday night at the Vic Lopez. If you are interested in attending any of those events, please let Olga know so we can make sure to get you entrance into those events. Later this week, just for a brief 36 hours, I will be in San Diego for a California Superintendent's Conference. I don't often go, but I love the format, 24 hours of time away from the district to conference with my superintendent colleagues across the state. And with so many changes that are happening, it's kind of like drinking water through a fire hose right now. But I think it will be very important for us to hear from school services, Mike Klein with FICMAT, about the budget. The May revise doesn't come out until May 21st, so that is after the board meeting, but we will keep you posted about what we hear. And we may not hear everything. With the recent stock market crash, just a reminder that our state revenues are very much tied to the capital gains that our highest earners in the state receive. And so that could have an impact if the stock market doesn't rebound quickly. Also, on April 22nd, City of Whittier Cal basketball team will be recognized by the City of Whittier. And the Hall of Fame, I will also be at that this Sunday. I wanted to make sure if you are available on April 24th, the current CSBA president, Dr. Lusk, will be in the area. She will be accompanied by South Whittier board member Jan Baird. She will be in our Whittier area for about 2 hours of time before she goes out to the South Bay, and she is desirous of visiting East Whittier, South Whittier, and Whittier Union. So I will be working with my superintendent colleagues to ensure consistency in what we're highlighting, and certainly the great work that we are doing in Whittier Union, and a lot of the great work that the board has done with regard to board goals, your placemat, alignment of those goals as well. And then we do have a date set for the State of the District. We will be hosting our very first State of the District at the Vic Lopez Auditorium on June 20th. And more details will be coming on that. And that, one final thing, Williams report, third quarter, 0 complaints, and that does conclude my report.
Thank you, Dr. Vieto. Appreciate those dates. We will mark our calendar. And before we move on to our next item, Donovan, are you still in the house? I'm having trouble with my iPad. It's not letting me look at the agenda, and we're coming up on the part of the agenda where I want to be able to look at my attachments. So if I could get your assistance, that'd be great. As Donovan walks up, I'm going to move us to our consent calendar, which is item 12. And yes, Mr. Lopez. I didn't entertain the motion, but thank you for reading my mind. Consent calendar has been moved for discussion by Mr. Lopez, and then you have a question.
Yes, I need to have one of the items removed, which is our contract with Whittier College. Please look at the number.
And let me just note that it's been seconded by Mr. Mendez, so we can have a discussion now. Yes, Mr. Lopez, you're next.
After trustee Villegas, 1 second.
Yes.
It's
Item 12.03 has to remove the Whittier College 2025 transportation contract. I think that's what it's called.
So I'm going to jot that down. And Mr. Lopez?
Please, just note a no on the last item under 12.03, Stormwater and Butcher amendment. That's just a record a no vote for me. Thank you.
Okay, so duly noted that you plan on voting no on the 12.03. So should we then, let's see, I don't have the consent calendar in front of me right now, but I will be happy to then recognize that we can entertain a motion to approve the entire, well, we have a motion on the table to approve the consent calendar except for 12.03 Whittier College Transportation Contract, and then I will note your no vote. Is that correct? Thank you so much, Dawn. I appreciate your help. You're so valuable.
Well, I have a
I'm
point
confused.
of order.
I'm confused. I just confused myself.
So you pulled Whittier College, and in order to vote on a particular contract, you want to remove that and vote on it separately.
Okay, so
Unless you vote on, Mr. Lopez, you want to vote no on everything.
Well, Mr.
Okay, so
Chair,
hold, I'll pull it.
let's go back in time. Let's go back to the original motion, which was to approve the consent calendar. Do you want to amend the original motion and take a few things out so that the original motion is amended? Because we can do that.
I think the first item of business will be Trustee Rodriguez Moisa, and then we'll.
Okay.
Because I think
Okay.
typically what we do is you ask, does anyone want to remove anything from the consent calendar? But you asked for a motion to approve it, so I kind of came in late.
Okay.
So I would request that we remove the approval of the Whittier College Transportation Contract under item 12.03 from the motion to approve.
Got it. Okay.
Is
And
that acceptable?
that's been moved by Mr. Rodriguez Moisa
I'll
to
second that.
remove, thank you, to remove the Whittier College 2025 transportation contract from 12.03, leaving the rest of the consent calendar intact.
I want to remove Strongwasser. So we're gonna,
Okay.
so that's a friendly amendment to remove those two items, Whittier College and Strongwasser.
Okay, noted. So the second amendment to the original motion is to remove Stromaster and Wisher Amendment April 2025 from the consent calendar, leaving the remainder intact. And it's been seconded. Okay, I'll call the question. All in favor of approving the consent calendar except for 12.03 Whittier College 2025 Transportation Contract and except for the Stromwasser and Wisher Amendment, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any abstain? Any opposed? And I got that backwards, but passes 5-0. All right, so now we will entertain the Whittier College 2025 Transportation Contract.
And Mr. President, I need to recuse myself. I shouldn't say I need to. I am choosing to recuse myself because I do serve as the general counsel to the Board of Trustees, so I will step into the conference room so as not to be part of this discussion.
Understood. Thank you very much for clarifying your reason for stepping out. Any discussion on this item? Okay, seeing none, I now call the question on just the Whittier College 2025 Transportation Contract. All in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Abstain.
And Mr. Mendez abstains. So the Whittier College contract motion passes 3-0-1. Okay. Let's notify Ms. Rodriguez-Moisa that the item has been approved. Thank you very much. We'll allow for some time for Ms. Rodriguez-Moisa to return to her chair so she is ready. And Dr. Vieta to return. And so now we have before us the Stromaster and Butcher Amendment, April 2025. So we open the discussion for that.
Do you need a motion to approve?
I do need a motion to approve so we can begin discussion.
Move to approve.
Second.
It's been moved by Ms. Rodriguez-Moisa and seconded by Ms. Conchola. And now we will have a discussion on Stromaster and Butcher Amendment. Okay, any questions about this? Any discussion, colleagues?
I think the only discussion is that this is consistent with the direction that was provided at the March 31 board meeting. So I'm not understanding why it was pulled. Well, I may understand why it was pulled, but this is the consistent direction and vote that we took back on March 31.
Okay,
Because every member has a
Mr. Mendez, did you want to go next?
It's just a right that every member can pull regardless of any reason.
Yes,
Sure.
no, I understand. I was
Understood.
just saying I didn't know what the reason was.
Okay. Any other comments? No comments. Okay, then I'm going to call a question. All in favor of the Whittier Union High School District Stromaster and Butcher amendment, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any voting no?
No.
No.
Okay. The ayes have it, 3-2. Thank you very much. So with the consent calendar approved and the items pulled, considered and approved as well, we now move to proposals and discussions. 13.01, review and discuss approval of 8 new courses of study, first reading. Dr. Oviedo.
And to share more about these courses and the process that brought them to you today is Mrs. Buzijian.
Good evening. We are pleased to present for the board's consideration 8 new courses of study proposed for implementation for the 2025-2026 school year. These course offerings expand our curriculum in career technical education and visual and performing arts pathways. All proposed courses have been written by Whittier Union High School District teachers and vetted by subject-specific curriculum instructional teams made up of department chairs. Second, by the Curriculum Coordinating Council made up of 6 assistant principals of curriculum and instruction, 1 principal, and a WSCA union representative. The courses are Applied Computer Science 1, 2, and 3P, Ceramics 2 and 3P, Human Services P, and Human Services Honors. And last but not least, Mariachi P is being brought tonight. These courses are designed to enrich our students' educational experiences while equipping them with valuable skills for future academic pursuits, careers, and personal growth. We respectfully request that these courses be placed on the consent calendar at the May 13th board meeting.
Thank you, Ms. Mazigian. Any questions on this? Okay. Thank you for your respectful request, and we'll look forward to the next reading, next board meeting. No action required. Thank you very much. We're excited about that. Maybe I see a future grito contest in the making. 13.02, review and discuss approval of basic textbooks, first reading.
Also to share about this and our new textbooks that we are requesting, Mrs. Buzijian.
Thank you, Dr. Oviedo. Per Board Policy 6161.1, the textbook selection process begins at the district via subject-specific curriculum instructional teams made up of department chairs. The textbooks are then forwarded to a curriculum study group made up of teachers who may use the textbooks for their review and submit their recommendations to the Educational Services Division for a recommendation. Tonight we bring forward for your consideration the following textbooks. Anécdotas 1. Vida, Actualidad y Cultura, Spanish 1 Honors. Anécdotas 2. Vida, Actualidad y Cultura, Spanish 2 Honors. Literature and Composition, Essential Voices, Essential Skills for the AP course, 3rd edition, AP English Literature. Chemistry and Atoms Focused Approach, AP Chemistry. Wholes, Essential of Human Anatomy and Physiology, High School 2nd edition, Human Anatomy. After answering any questions you may have, we respectfully request these textbooks be placed on consent at the May 14th board meeting.
Thank you, Ms. Mazigian. Colleagues, do you have any questions about these particular textbooks? Seeing none, they are accepted, and we will look forward to acting on them at the next board meeting. Thank you very much. That brings us to item 13.03. This is a review and discuss revisions to Board Policy 5030, Student Wellness, first reading.
Yes, to share more about the process of development and revision for this, I turn it to Deputy Superintendent Jimero.
Thank you, Dr. Oviedo. Board Policy 5030 is a required policy that outlines the link between healthy foods and physical activity with overall student wellness. The district's Nutrition Service Department held its Wellness Committee meeting to review recommendations for changes to the wellness policy. This policy was updated to include suggested language from the USDA sample policy as indicated in the revisions. Following any questions, we request that the policy be placed on the consent agenda for the May board meeting.
Any questions from our board? Yes, Mr. Lopez.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. In terms of wellness, Mr. Chimero, my understanding is that students are required to take at least 2 years, correct, of physical education?
That is correct.
Okay, and then to maybe encourage or assist them in the last 2 years, or what are we doing to encourage them to stay active?
Sure, thank you for the question. It's also included in part of the curriculum for PE is not just running around and physical activity, but the teaching of the benefits of physical activity. Our health curriculum, as you know, we do not have a health specific course requirement in Whittier Union. However, the curriculum is embedded in both physical education courses as well as science, where the benefits of physical activity along with healthy foods is embedded in terms of nutrition. This wellness policy really is required as part of our National School Lunch Program. It's required to be reviewed at least once every 3 years, and when revisions are necessary, when there's any updates to the suggested USDA policy, we make those recommended edits.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Lopez. Any other questions from our board? I just have a comment, actually. And I want to be mindful not to have this be direction from one board member, but I'm just wondering, because the way I phrase it might sound like I'm giving direction, but I'm not. I'm just wondering if out loud, and Mr. Jimero, if you could indulge me, I've recognized that our K-8 district partners have been spending more time and energy, and rightfully so, on healthy food options for our students, which is really important to us since they're coming to the high school district after they finish at the K-8 districts. So I'm wondering if there's value, or if we already have a practice of working with them and their counterparts in terms of the food service area on what are some best practices they have, and what are their board policies, what do they look like, and are they similar to what we're doing, and can there be some cross-pollination or learning that can take place?
I appreciate the comment. We're looking forward to next week bringing on our new Director of Food Services, as well as bringing on not only her experience, but her collegiality and connection to other local food service departments, and learning from them. The move towards healthy foods is something that's been universal and very heavy, not just in California, but in compliance with National School Lunch Guidelines, as well as additional guidelines here from the state of California. So we continue to move towards more healthy, and I think when we think back to the days that we had school lunch, maybe we missed some of those favorite items that no longer exist on the menu. It's a byproduct of moving towards healthier food and kind of reducing the amount of non-healthy food options that are available on and around campuses.
Yes, Mr. Mendez and Ms. Cashel.
Don't tell me we're getting rid of tater tots.
Sorry, tater tots actually qualifies as a, sometimes.
I do that.
Sometimes.
Baked or fried.
I would just also add that Ms. Uloa, who's joining us, has a master's in public health and a certificate in nutrition or
She's a registered dietitian.
and so we're really excited about the expertise that she brings.
The key is healthy foods that taste good, you know, and I think kind of blending those together is not an easy task, but that's our challenge, is to bring healthy and desirable by our students together to the greatest extent possible.
Thank you, Ms. Cashel.
Yeah, I was actually gonna make a suggestion. I know that at Los Nietos School District, they've been really looking at healthy options, but also with a cultural, twist to it. And so I would recommend that we, either have a conversation with Los Nietos and see how that's going, and maybe, borrow some of the recipes. Because I know that that's something that the parents in that district community really talk about, and the children, so.
Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Any other discussion?
Mr. Lopez, I would echo those kind of comments from that trustee Conchola just made. We've got to consider who, the background of the student, the cultural background and such. So thank you for those comments.
I appreciate that. Thank you. So this is the first reading, and we'll expect this to come back to us at the May board meeting. I appreciate the full discussion of this item. And Mr. Jamiro, I thank you for your work. That brings us to item 13.04, and this is a discussion of the progress made with our board bylaws revision subcommittee. It is comprised of Mr. Mendez and myself. And so, Mr. Mendez, I'll defer to you to see if you'd like to speak first about the work that we've done, or would you like me to go first?
Well, since you're asking, I think we did a fabulous job. It was done timely. It was an articulate discussion, free of any issues. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I join you in those comments, and I appreciate your time invested, and we did work really quickly the 2 times that we did. And just to let the board know, thank you, Dr. Oviedo, for this chart. This is a really good rundown of all the different board policies in the 9,000s that Mr. Mendez and I reviewed, along with Dr. Oviedo. And I want to thank Mr. Mendez. Under his leadership and with Dr. Oviedo's guidance, we were able to subscribe to the gamut policy service that is provided by CSBA. So the way we did it, we looked at what gamut provides, we looked at what we have, and we wanted to see what changes we need to make in order to be up to date with changes in the law, but also not losing unique things that are really important to our culture here at Whittier Union. So that was the discussion.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Mr.
just
Lopez.
for the public, for public information, there's copies, right?
Yes.
Copies of
Okay.
them over there.
Thank you very much, Mr. Lopez.
So they can reference this as
Mhm.
well. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I apologize for that reference.
No, I appreciate you saying that.
I do want to make, if I may,
Yes, you are.
I think there's still 2 other policies. I know Mr. Lopez and I have to
Yeah.
finalize one,
Yeah.
and Mr. Mendez and I have to do AG, naming of a building facility. So hopefully we'll find time before the next board meeting to get to that.
Sure.
Yes, duly noted. Yes, Mr. Mendez.
So, my question is, when these come forward, do we want side by side the new policies and how they were written before?
Yes?
I think that'd be good to do electronically. I think that could get really expensive and timely
Okay.
if we did it in hard copy. So I think for the next board meeting, if we could maybe have the old version and the new version side by side, right? If I'm understanding you correctly?
If I may understand, I prefer to see what I use the phrase red line, with the bold underline and the italics, all this
Yes.
new stuff. I don't mind the current and then the new one that has those changes,
Yes.
and not even the new version without that, because I think
Yeah.
that's what draws my attention when I look at it. So
Yeah,
if that's what you're
it's a
talking
little
about.
hard, and Dr. Vida will have to do that because the CSBAs some of them were just adoption of those policies. So I'm sure your superintendent will be
I'll
great.
do my best, but what Trustee Mendez and Trustee Castaneda Calleros worked from was they had our version, but then the editable version that we were working with at the recommendation of CSBA was the CSBA sample. And so they did the alignment to bring in our, any language that they wanted to keep from Whittier Union into the CSBA.
All right, so then I would request exactly those documents you just described, the original, the CSBA base, and the CSBA modified.
And
So you don't have to go from the Whittier Union base to the new modified. I see why that would be a challenge, so.
and you'll see one of those in your next item, how that looks.
Oh, yes. That's right. Yes, Mr. Lopez.
So are we gonna see the red lining?
Yes, but the redlining is gonna be off the CSBA.
That's fine, I just want to see.
You'll be able to see everything that was either changed or added in, and the add-ins is typically from the Whittier Union original policy.
And if I may, and Mr. Mendez may want to contribute to this as well, I don't want to get into the weeds right now because we'll have plenty of time at the next board meeting. But there was one particular board policy that made reference to guidelines or parameters for the length of the board meeting. Remember, we had a pretty engaged discussion about that, and other school districts and boards around us, Whittier City and East Whittier, they end their board meetings, I believe, at 10:30. And in order for them to go beyond 10:30, the board has to, I believe, reach consensus on whether or not they have permission to go past 10:30 by 1 hour, for example. And each board policy of each district is different, but that was something that we saw in the gamut, and so we chose not to mandate ourselves because of the business that we have. But that's an example of something that you'll be seeing that will be coming before you. But I just wanted to flag that. I don't know if you wanted to.
Well, and that was, see, I think CSBA's recommendation was primarily meant for school districts that have a line out the door for speakers. And so that isn't necessarily our culture here.
And Dr. Oviedo was right in bringing up that sometimes it's really hard for us it would be hard to recess a meeting and to try to find another date to continue that meeting before the next regular meeting, which could prove challenging.
It sounds like a bad idea.
And one other thing, we have adopted a phrase for the governing board.
Oh, that's right.
So we are going to board members as opposed to governing board, correct?
And the reason?
Board of Trustees.
When Whittier Union was actually founded back in the early 1900s with the County of Los Angeles, it was the Board of Trustees was the county.
We shall keep that, correct?
So, what about in terms of our terminology for our leadership on the board? Because I know that, we, on the documents that we have, we do say president, but I've heard some of my colleagues, talk to Dr. Castañeda Galleros as chairman. So I think we should be consistent and unless that has been, part of the discussion.
Well, I think Board Policy 9121 has a reference to that, and I don't know if there's an interchangeability with chair, but we can take a look at that. Okay, so thank you so much, everyone, for your listening to our report. And we have made really significant progress, and we've also noted that there are a couple of board policies and committees on the way, so we appreciate your work on that. And no need for action tonight, and you'll be able to see the scope and the extent of the revisions made at the next regular board meeting in May. Okay, so that concludes our discussion on 13.04, and that brings us to 13.05, review and discuss revisions to Board Policy 9310. And to begin our discussion, does it require a motion?
No, it doesn't have a motion proposed there.
Okay. So I understand at least one trustee has some suggested edits. So did you want to move forward with your suggested edits given the work that we've done? Oh, and there's a handout coming as well.
A hard copy of the original?
Of the CSBA version. That's
I have it on
online. Does anybody need a hard copy of that?
So, and I want to thank, obviously, our fellow board members for spending the time on this. I had forgotten that you guys were going to have another meeting. I'm going to pass this out here. If you mind. I had forgotten that you guys had another meeting, so I had asked for the original policy because I wanted to, I'll call it wordsmith it, to make it gender neutral, to do some other stuff to it that I thought would make it easier to follow. So if you, obviously I didn't make any changes to the front page, and then on the back page, there is something that's missing that you all added that I didn't see, so it's not on here. So you'll just see, like, the district policy includes the following. I don't think you need the word basic steps, it's just the following steps. the board or superintendent or their designee, again, to make that gender neutral. Number 2, as needed, the superintendent or designee shall fully inform the board about the proposed new or revised policy by gathering. I just look at fiscal because I thought data covers a lot of it, data, seeking staff with public input, reviewing blah, 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 which may include considering. Again, from my perspective, this is sort of language improvement. And then what I did not have, which is in the new one, is the, you guys added the 3rd paragraph, which encompasses this collaborative process. So I would probably want to take a look at it and just see again for language cleanup from my perspective. Again, as you know, I'm a lawyer by training, so I can't help myself, and I look at it and I'm like, well, let me make this, if I can, more direct. So that's all I did here. So this would still need the new paragraph 3 you guys added. Because I did not have that when I was looking at the revisions. So then if you go to the next page, again, this was me sort of trying to do some edits. This is intended to improve, not to detract from what the goal here was. But I do realize I may have missed something. So again, the first couple paragraphs, language changes, etc. And I certainly would agree with the language that legal counsel proposed for the beginning of the policy that's in the document that we got as part of the board meeting. But one of the changes I made, because I think I didn't appreciate what was trying to be accomplished, and when I looked at it again today, I may need to, scale this back. There was a creation of the section policy review committee. And when I looked at it, I thought, I don't know that that's necessary if we've already got the cabinet review and they can seek input from the district. I changed it that they can seek input from the district directors based on the policy matter. And really I ended up focusing on the consultation policy review committee. So that was the reason I deleted the section policy review committee. I just thought that that could be part of the cabinet policy review where they call upon the certificated or classified directors. And I don't know if there was a difference between that phrase, so I just put it as directors. That is probably the biggest substantive change I made. So I'd like to get some discussion on that. That's really, I just thought, well, why would we have this? And then we create that, and then we have the consultation policy committee. And then I made clear on the consultation policy review that the superintendent or designee appoint members. We've had that issue about the naming of the facilities when we didn't know who appointed who, so I thought, well, let's make clear who does appoint that. And obviously I added a sentence about it doesn't constitute collective bargaining, is not intended to satisfy our obligations for collective bargaining, should there be an obligation. And then of course I still have presented any recommended changes and prepare a staff report summarizing the changes. Now, on the next page, which is number 4 at the bottom, I just deleted the 12 policy areas for review only because it seemed confusing to me. And then you can see how it's printed out. It had the Woody High in the middle, and I was like, I'm not sure what this means. But I think when I look at the change you all made, you just were listing the policy areas. I mean, so we can keep it. That's to me. Because I think either way, we're committing to the policy, the process, whether we list these or not. But that could be okay. I just found it confusing. And then the other thing I made at the bottom of page 5 is the superintendent or designee may determine the appropriate communication strategy, blah, blah, blah. And again, it was part of it as it had a he, she. It was just to make it more gender neutral. So I did not, unfortunately, I had worked on this before I got this over the weekend, so I apologize. I should have looked at that one, but I had already done this work. So what I would request is that the subcommittee go back and take a look to see if they, again, I think it's cleanup language. I'm certainly open to the section policy review committee because I think what I understand the purpose was, I didn't understand it at the time when I was revising it, but you want the assistant superintendent and her cabinet, or his or her cabinet, to look at it. Then you want the superintendent to then specifically say, and again, I don't know if these are phrases we use in the district, that there's a certificated and a classified director. I don't know if those are phrases, so I think I got a little confused. If we do want to have that, again, I'm open to that. I just had included it as, hey, the Cabinet Policy Review Committee can incorporate those folks' inputs. And to me, the important one, of course, was getting our consultation policy review committee that's comprised of the members of the community et cetera. And that still has the same members. And I didn't call it constituent group. I found that phrase, it didn't quite sit well on a constituent group. I changed it to stakeholders. It's still broad, I think it still encompasses it. I just feel like when you call it constituent group, it's like, it feels to me more political, like there's a constituent that I have to serve versus other stakeholders, whether they're voters or not voters. And so that's what I think struck me as awkward with that phrase. But obviously, there's very important stakeholders, so I changed that phrase.
Well, thank you for giving us an overview of the changes. And again, Trustee Mendez, I'm happy to speak first, or I'm happy to defer to you in terms of responding to some or all of these edits, or we could do it in subcommittee.
Well, I think this is subcommittee work. I would appreciate if you could, and I don't know if I have it here on my desk, your proposed changes.
This one, yes, that's the one I just handed out.
This one? With
Yes,
those?
with the red. Yes.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Okay, so I need time to think about what these
Yes.
are.
And of course, this is I could only do it here. I couldn't separately
Because
email it to you guys.
we need to get you to work on those facility policies,
I do.
just like you're doing here.
Yes. I am confident
So-
I will clean those up too.
And then I think I appreciate the Trustee Mendez's point about needing more time to review the changes, and I certainly would like more time as well. And I appreciate the spirit in which they're offered. But I am going to ask, though, just for the sake of discussion tonight, one point of discussion I think would be really helpful would be regarding the section Policy Review Committee. So Trustee Mendez, if you can indulge me in that discussion, I want to make sure that we communicate to Ms. Rodriguez-Moiza the purpose of why we have the Section Policy Review Committee and why that purpose is important in the context of the Cabinet Policy Review Committee and our Consultation Policy Review
It
Committee.
would just be just like any other legislative process. This is here being at a local, smaller level, where there would be, Cabinet Policy Review Committee is kind of like the Rules Committee. So a subject matter goes to the cabinet. You know, we're going to talk about tater tots. And so the superintendent would say, well, that's probably best under one of the vice superintendents that's a subject area, Mr. Jamero. So it'd be referred to Mr. Jamero because that's his subject area. And so that would be the section policy review committee. He would get his directors for that particular area and discuss that. And so the meat of it is that the fact that, excuse me for saying, the constituent groups would be consulted as it applies to their subject area. So,
Students.
yeah, students.
In this particular case.
Yeah, and so that's where the inclusiveness happens. It's not taking not taking away any power. It's just following a logical order of governance and a structure.
Well, and as I shared, when I read it by myself,
And then Mr. Lopez.
I was like, I'm not sure if we need this.
Sure.
And then when I read it again earlier today, I said, I think I get it. And so I appreciate that. I still prefer the phrase stakeholders over constituent groups only.
We
because I
can
feel-
work on a term.
Yeah, because I
We
feel
can
like
work on a
when
term.
it's, so I understand the interest.
Appreciate the discussion, Mr. Lopez, you want to jump in?
So, in terms of the protocol here, Mr. Chair, my understanding, we had a first reading of this, right? So we made recommended changes, okay? Now, it should have been second reading. Please help me understand the process here. But it should have been second reading with the, recommendation from that discussion. Why are we in this discussion? I'm okay with this, I like this. This is,
I appreciate the
discussing
spirit.
policy, I'm just trying to understand the process here, that's all.
No, I appreciate the spirit and substance of your question. Mr. Mendez.
So I'm not going to hold Whittier Union to any particular process per se, because if it were if we were to stick to a process, every time a policy gets amended, it goes back to first reading. And so, you've made your proposed amendments now will be considered again, and it will come back as first reading again. Every time it's amended, it stops the process and starts over again. If we were to hold on to a legislative process.
But here we.
And Mr. Lopez and then Mr. Rodriguez-Moisa.
It's back and forth because he responded to my question, so I'm gonna respond back. Okay, so if that's the case, then it should have been a first reading again. That's all.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Well, I was just gonna respond exactly this way, that I think as a board, we can actually decide that it needs further discussion before it comes back for a first reading, which is how I understood the agenda item, which is why I brought, and remember, I wasn't part of the subcommittee, so I had looked at it and I said, oh, I want, and so therefore we have to discuss it, all five of us here. But I think either way, you guys are gonna go back, you're gonna look at it, and then maybe it comes back as a first reading after you've done that, and then we can give you more feedback.
And Ms. Moyes is gonna work on her 2 outstanding policies.
That's right, I need to get those in Microsoft Word.
But
We're close on the one, we're very close.
Ms. Consuelo,
Thank you.
Comments on that?
No, the only thing that I was gonna mention was in terms of using stakeholders, so that it's more inclusive, and so I would agree on that.
Oh, thank you, duly noted. And I agree with Mr. Mendez that I think there's a term that we could.
Yeah, I think looking at CSBA and what that term is probably good for us to do that.
And then one more question, just as a point of clarification. The phrase certificated and classified directors, and then obviously talks about the business personnel. That's confusing to me, so can someone explain what that language means? Because obviously I crossed it out. I can email revisions to this too, so that I want to understand what the, is there such a thing as certificated and classified directors of the business personnel?
Yes, so within the Business Services Division, we have Mr. Rodriguez, who is a certificated director, and the other directors of food service, technology, fiscal, and transportation are all classified. And then in...
But is the business personnel section?
So the Business Services Division.
Okay, business services.
And then within there are both certificated and classified directors. Whereas in the Ms. Fitzgerald and Ms. Bozigian's divisions, they are all certificated.
All right, so maybe we need to clarify just
That
the
just
different
means
divisions.
that there's particular credentials that those folks hold that some of Mr. Jamero's directors do not hold regarding supervision of students.
And I'm not saying we decide this now, because I know we'll be going back to subcommittee, but maybe the section policy review committee, I'm just saying this out loud right now, Mr. Mendez, so you can hear my thought process. Maybe it becomes division policy review committee, just to be aligned with what we already have. Yeah. And I do appreciate the board engaging in this discussion. And my point in bringing some of these points up now is to be able to make our work easier in the subcommittee, because I want the high-hanging fruit to be pruned in this discussion, so that way by the time we get together, it's just all the low-hanging fruit that we need to hear. Does that make sense? Sure.
I have another question on this one. Who do we expect will appoint, because that's what's stated here, the section policy review committee? I had the consultation policy review committee appointed by the superintendent.
What page?
Page 3?
Yeah.
You know, I kind of, I think I'm a little stuck on that, because the superintendent, I don't know, I think there has to be, whether or not they're released on it, their schedule for some of this certificated and classified.
So we do have system structures in place now of different stakeholder groups and meetings scheduled on a regular basis. And so our goal if this were to pass, is to utilize those opportunities that are already structured to be able to bring these policies on a regular basis for their review.
I'm sorry, so there's already an existing,
Yes, so for many of the stakeholder groups, for instance, parents, we meet with different parents as part of the LCAP process. Those meetings are scheduled 3 times a year. That would allow us to, as revisions come forward, to be able to take them to those meetings to gather their input. We have regular meetings with different classified constituent groups. That could be an opportunity for us to bring policies related to that. Many of the classified and certificated employee groups, those are going to happen through the personnel office. And so those would probably also be part of the negotiations process, with our negotiating policy.
right, but let's focus on this division policy review committee. Is the intent that all of the certificated and classified directors of these different sections shall be comprised, or it's the subject matter experts of those, because the way it reads now, shall be composed of the certificated and classified directors of the business personnel, obviously we have to have divisions, and shall identify which constituent groups will be impacted by the policy. So that makes it seem as if all the directors are coming together in a meeting, and so let's get that clear, because I'm happy to write something that's our intent, so.
Did you want to speak to that?
Yeah, and I don't know what that looks like, because I haven't talked to the vice superintendents of who, if it's a food tater tot matter, who is consulted? Is the director of food services? And then when it comes to the consultation process, that's where in that area, you would include a classified, a student, if it applies.
So in that example, site managers would be a good group of.
Right, but who decides? That's all I'm asking, who
Yeah.
decides
Yeah,
who's on the
yes.
section, on
Yes.
the, that's,
I
is it the
think it would,
superintendent?
no, I think when it comes to the constituent groups, that there would be some worked out understanding of who gets the release time or the time to get on those committee. Because you would have an objection if it's a security guard who has to be patrolling at a certain time, that person wouldn't be pulled to discuss tater tots or
Right, but this, the current language
yeah.
makes it seem as if every single certificated and classified director serves on the section policy review.
Does it say that?
Shall be composed of the certificated and classified directors of the business personnel, and shall identify which constituent groups will be impacted by the policy under review. The section policy committee will then share the policy and revision with the appropriate constituent group,
Well,
which is the consultation review.
So maybe that's where you insert, is that number one, the cabinet review committee decides which section that is, right? And then that section, that division decides on who's going to be on the
That's
constituent.
exactly right. And I'm comfortable with that. I just, right now, the way it read was too broad, and
Sure.
I wasn't sure what we thought about who should decide who's on it.
I don't care, you can interpret my Espanol, that's fine, just be my interpreter that way.
What is it, the dream whisper here?
Yeah.
Okay, so then well, I will give some feedback on
Please.
that.
We
But
will
is there a
do that.
Take it
consensus?
home. Take
Is
it
that
home.
consensus, though, that we would want the cabinet policy review committee to determine who is on the section or division policy review committee?
Yeah, and there's a part of it that certificate and classified would volunteer a list of who those people may be.
Who?
No, it's not complicated, we'll come back and talk about it. It's, my
Yeah.
brain is working at 30% capacity right now.
And there is a wisdom to having general language whenever we can.
Right.
To give ourselves options, not paint ourselves into a corner. So we'll receive your proposed edits and then reconvene and then come back to the board when we have a more refined version. And if we need to call it first reading again, to your point, Mr. Lopez, we will do that.
This month?
This is April? I should be able to, we'll find a time. Can you do a Saturday?
No, I'm talking about this
We're
policy.
talking about getting your feedback.
Oh, I'll give it to you tonight before I leave. I have another question though.
Yes.
Because the superintendent referenced an existing committee or process where we currently seek input. And the way I read this policy, it's not using the existing. It is creating a brand new policy review committee. And we basically, the superintendent or designee gets to figure out who are those constituent groups, for lack of a better phrase. So can we talk about that feedback? Because I hear sort of an intent of, oh, we've already got, you know, parent committees and some other groups set up, and that's how we
Part of the
feedback.
LCAP process.
Right.
There's just not a policy version of that.
Correct. So are we, because
But this would be a good place for that.
it could be, and that's what I'm asking the
Yeah.
feedback, because I do think that if you have something in mind already about how you see this
To
consultation policy
operationalize
review.
it, I would want to take advantage of some of the existing structures to be able to bring those groups together where appropriate. Certainly for parent stakeholders,
Yes.
student stakeholders, we have those structures in place. And I still think that the ones that are, the policies that are going to relate to employees, that's going to have to go through the negotiations process.
Sure. But tater tots, though.
And are you comfortable that the current language allows you to use that existing process?
I would want to tighten up the language to make sure that that's.
Okay.
With the possibility that it would be here in this page of BP 9010. Yes, Mr. Lopez, I see your hand.
I will also give my recommendations to Dr. Obiano to share with.
Great. Thank you. Look forward to this. Thank you. Thank you, board, for this discussion. I think we're getting closer. And we'll look forward to having it come back for another first reading. Okay, thank you, board. We're going to move ahead to item 14, new business, 14.01, as we consider approval of the annual resolution number 2425-21, California's Day of the Teacher. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Moved by Mr. Lopez, seconded by Ms. Conchola. Any discussion of this resolution? Okay, thank you very much. Call the question. All in favor of resolution number 2425-21, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any abstain? Anybody no? 5-0. Thank you very much. That brings us to item 14.02, as we consider approval of annual resolution number 2425-20, Classified School Employees Week. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Moved by Mr. Mendez, seconded by Ms. Conchola. Any discussion of annual resolution?
Yeah, question, if you don't mind applying the previous resolution to. So what do we plan to do that week for these?
So we have many activities happening at the schools, but on May 20th, I would invite you to a staff appreciation lunch anytime between 10 a.m. and 1 p.m. All of the different groups in the on the Grassy area out here, we will have a barbecue for them.
And the teachers?
For the and for all employees, there's a particular gift that they will all receive, and then for the teachers, they'll participate if they work here at USEC on the 20th. If they're at the school sites, there are different events that are happening at the school sites.
And May 20th, I'm just going to note, that's a Tuesday?
Yes.
Yes, Tuesday. Thank you, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Let us know if you need servers. Okay, I'm going to call the question. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, any abstentions? Okay, the ayes have it. Thank you very much. 5-0. That brings us to item 14.03 as we consider approval of annual resolution number 2425-22, California Day of the Adult School Teacher. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Mendez, seconded by Ms. Conchola. Any discussion of this resolution?
So, yeah, question. So, difference between Day of the Teachers and a week of classified employees. I don't know, is it
The
equitable?
designation happens at the state level.
Okay, that's
It's
good
not
enough.
just-
It's good enough for me.
Okay. Any other questions on this matter? Seeing none, I call the question. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any abstentions, any opposed? Okay, great, passes 5-0, thank you very much. That brings us to item 14.04, as we consider approval of the personnel report, 2024, 2025, and report of resignations. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Mendez, thank you, seconded by Ms. Conchola, thank you very much. Any discussion of the personnel report tonight?
I think Ms. Fitzgerald has a few items she'd like to add.
Very good. Ms. Fitzgerald, would you like to?
Thank you so much. So tonight, we, personnel report, we're bringing on board a new adult school teacher, as well as six different positions for summer admin interns. So you'll see those, they help out with summer school on each of our campuses. Classified, we're bringing on board 4 new classified members in a variety of different extra assignments to complete the year. Under retirements and resignations, we have a few really noteworthy retirements. First, we have an instructional vocational specialist, Laura Jordan, who will be retiring with us after 22 years and 6 months. Kathy Johnson, who was here with us this evening for adult school teacher. This will be her second retirement. She's retiring this time at 30 years. You might recall about a year or so ago, she came back to help get this program started again. So she is retiring. And Mr. Daniel Scara, who has been with Whittier Union for 35 years. He is a teacher at Whittier High School, served as a teacher at California High School, most recently as the Director of Professional Learning and Leadership Development, will be retiring at the end of the school year. So we wish them all on their next phase, and they're jealous of their next phase. But want to thank them all for their service.
Thank you very much for noting that. And I'm going to quote a former superintendent who was very fond of saying, whenever we had momentous retirements such as this, there's a big disturbance in the force. And I think we all feel that. And but I'm confident that we'll be able to find the talent needed to be able to address those needs that are, and it's an opportunity for those that are maybe thinking about that kind of work to move forward. So thank you. Any discussion from the board? Thank you for the report tonight. Seeing none, I call the question. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you very much. Passes 5-0. And that brings us to item 15, and I have some notes for this item. 15.01, recommendation for future agenda items. So as I open the floor, and as I abide by the Brown Act, I'll solicit colleagues for topics not already shared at the last meeting, and I'll see if there's interest in these topics, of course, without discussing the merits or details of such topics. And I do have a quick update, but before I share the update, I'd like to open the floor for discussion. I see Mr. Mendez's hand. I hear Mr. Rodriguez-Moisa has a couple of items, and I see Mr. Lopez's hand, and I see Ms. Conchola's hand. So we'll go in that order. Please.
Yeah, so I'd like to consider, I know we had talked about over 2 years ago doing a post survey with students who have been accepted to the UC, CSU, or have gone on to community college or vocational programs, wanting to know if they were successful in completing their first year, and what can we have done to help prepare them. And that's like a 2-year-old, I don't know, request that we could follow up with a report from the superintendent on how that would look and when can we start it.
Appreciate that. And one response that I'll share, and I was going to wait until later to share this, but it might relate not only to your comments, but also to my colleagues as well. Dr. Oviedo and I did have a meeting back on Monday, March 17th, to discuss our approach to suggested topics, and we're recognizing that some of these topics might be addressed in a board presentation, some might be addressed in a board weekly update, and some might be addressed in the third level that I'm not thinking of right now. So as I receive these, as Dr. Oviedo does these, we'll try to fit these into the different buckets that we talked about. Thank you, Mr. Mendez. Who is next on the queue? Mr. Rodriguez-Moisa.
Yeah, there's an issue that has been brewing that we've been dealing with sort of in the board weekly update that I think needs to elevate to an actual board presentation. Because I think if we don't do so, I think our families may continue to have this issue fester, and I actually would like to have a formal presentation. And that has to do with the conflict of interest issues and the sports programs that Miguel Zavala brought to us in his open public comments a number of months ago. I know there have been some follow-up emails, but I think it's important for us as a board to have an open, transparent discussion about how do our coaches get selected? Is there a conflict of interest training? And I think it should be open and transparent so that if a member of our community wants to hear it, they can hear it. And I know Mr. Zavala sent me a follow-up email. I don't know if any of you got it. But as somebody who's a fan of sports, had kids play sports, who believes in the importance of athletic activities, I hate this perception that parents may have that we do not have a fair process to select the students who participate in our athletic programs. So I would request as an item a presentation from the athletic director, or whoever it is, to share with us sort of, and by high school, each high school, because I think there's going to be more issues at Lucerna, but there may be issues at Cal High. I just think that should be a presentation that we get, and I would request support from the board to do that, because I think that if we don't, those issues will continue to fester.
Thank you.
Do I have any support?
Appreciate that. I'll support that.
And then I have a second issue. And again, the second issue is one that continues to crop up, and we get updated on the board update. But I sort of feel like it needs to be an open discussion at this point because it's continued to be brought up. And there's a specific issue that's been brought up, but I think it should be broader. We have a community member who lives near Lucerna High School who regularly complains about how clean we keep it, how we don't keep it clean. I would just like a presentation explaining, and again, for me, for purposes of transparency, I could talk to Dr. Oviedo privately, but I think it's important because this particular constituent does in fact make this comments and complaints about this regularly. But I'd like to know for other high schools, right? How is it that when there's an event at the basketball team, if there's another event, what are our processes and what does our team do? And I'm not quite sure who would make the report, somebody in facilities, I'm not sure. But again, because it's been brought up several times, I think it's important to have that discussion. If I don't get enough other support, I'm okay, because I'll talk to Dr. Oviedo, but I know it's somebody that I'm gonna have to probably talk to at some point because she's in the Lucerna residency area, and I've gotten 3 emails already, and I know it's not all our issue, but I do think that something like that, so that all of us know, what do we do, what's our process?
Our process for comments?
Yes, and again, I don't know if anybody else on the board would agree with me, so, because otherwise you and I could talk about her specifically, but when we keep getting her complaint, I'm thinking, I don't get complaints from other schools, but I don't want to single somebody out, but it's sort of like, why not explain to the board, again, I'm still, even though I've been here, this is my 3rd year, I actually don't know what our processes are, so I would request a presentation on that in the future. If I have the support from any others. And if not, I'll just talk to Dr. Oviedo.
And you see some nod here?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then Trustee Rodriguez-Moises' comments reminded me, I didn't ask for my colleagues to join in on the post-survey with students item that Mr. Mendez brought up. So before I go to Trustee Lopez and then to Trustee
President,
Control.
just a quick point of order. I would not gain consensus on any of these. I would just take it as advice and confer with the superintendent on those items. I would recommend.
Okay. I appreciate that. I really do. And it's not my goal to identify consensus, but just to, and then just, Mr. Gallagher actually advised us on this, it doesn't hurt to check in to see if there's interest, but I don't want to gain consensus at this time. Is that fair, Mr. Gallagher?
Yeah, you want to keep it to a brief request, avoid a discussion or any look toward whether you have consensus.
Yes, understood.
And if I created confusion, I apologize. I thought for whatever reason when we met last time, that one of the issues we discussed is that it would really only be brought back if 3 or more of us agreed to it. That's why I asked. That's what I recall that we said that if there were 3 or more, it would come back because now there was consensus that it was an item we wanted to be brought back to the next agenda. That's what I heard.
Yeah.
And so if I created confusion, then I apologize. But that's why I asked if my fellow board members would support that as an item, not necessarily what the outcome is, but the item.
And I take full, if I can just jump in, Mr. Lopez, I take full ownership of that. I probably may have said consensus, but now that I've been corrected to just identify interest, I think, and before Mr. Gallagher, before you speak, Mr. Lopez would like to speak. Mr. Lopez?
Mr. Chair, I think the idea, well, we moved the conversation, and the next action item should be from our superintendent, not from each board member, in my opinion, or from Mr. Gallagher. Hearing the idea, let them lead the discussion after that. And so they will let us know if they're not, if they're confused. So that's just my recommendation. And can I share my idea as well? Or before,
Yes, please, if I could ask you to bookmark your idea, I'm going to call on you next, but Mr. Gallagher is here
Sure.
just to clarify some of the discussion we're having about the differentiation between consensus building and then just identifying interest in moving forward on some of these items.
So the key is, you're obviously trying to do government efficiently, and that should be commended. Brown Act prohibits any discussion even of an item not agendized. So you want to limit this part of the meeting to be a solicitation of ideas. Essentially take that, your superintendent will take that under consideration and then bring it back to the board at a later time for actual discussion or action. But even talking about it any more than in a very brief way, you want to avoid.
Thank you.
So-
If I may hold off, in the queue, Mr. Lopez is next, Ms. Controla, and then we'll come back to you, Mr. Lopez.
just briefly, I just want to see some data on UC, CSU, the applications that come out of Whittier Union High School District, the acceptance rates, and the enrollment. That's it.
Enrollment.
The applications.
Enrollment at the UCs.
Yeah, the
UCs.
folks that applied, the number of applications, acceptance, and enrollment of each respective UC and CSU.
And Ms. Controla, you were next, but I think you had a question about the process?
I did, but
Okay, Ms. Controla, please.
Thank you for that. I second that in terms of our students are doing in terms of admissions and actually, during the summer, we call it the summer mount, where there's a difference between what students get towards the end of the academic year and what they actually do for the next year. So I would like to kind of take a look at the summer mount issue as well. I know that we oftentimes get information about staff and teachers and students, but one of the areas that I would like to hear more about is in terms of parents, in terms of parent involvement. What do we have in terms of leadership development opportunities for parents, and so forth. So I would like us to hear from some of our parent leaders at our school sites, and not only in what they're currently involved in, but then also, what areas might we as a district be able to provide them to support their own growth, whether it's academic growth, because some of our parents haven't had an opportunity to get an education, and we can support them in that way, or any kind of leadership development. So that would be an area that I'm definitely interested in. The other thing that I was thinking about, a lot of our students will be involved in summer leadership programs, and I would like to hear from some of our students, and especially with some of the programs that some of our students engage in on an annual basis. What they get out of the program. Is there a way to strengthen that partnership with those organizations so that more of our students can benefit and so forth? So, thank you.
Thank you. Anything else?
I think, here's my process question.
Sure.
So at our board retreat, we decided to add this item to the agenda because there was confusion about how items got on the agenda. Mr. Lopez had one process, Mr. Mendez had his little cheat, little chart he had that he wanted things to meet. And so then my question is, if all we're doing here is just giving ideas, and it goes to the board president and the superintendent, and they decide they don't want to put it on an agenda item, what is the board supposed to do at that point?
It's a great question. So Dr. Oviedo, I know you're planning to speak to the work that's been done so far and what we're thinking of moving forward. So do you want to chime in terms of what we're thinking of at this point, and then I can join you when you're ready?
Sure. So I think it brings up a good question because some of my superintendent colleagues, and I appreciate Mr. Gallagher giving feedback on legal counsel, but some of my colleagues have shared that they do have, not a dialogue, but they do look for a second person who is interested in that topic, and if there isn't a second person interested in that topic, then the topic isn't discussed. So I can talk to legal counsel later about why that's allowed in other districts.
Two key things. One is when you're talking about the agenda, putting it on the agenda is what solves the problem. So you have a process for putting it on the agenda. Second thing is when you just talk about two people, then you at least get the sign. You hear a second, then they move on. And that's a practice that happens. What you'll see happen is the discussion continues, and then that's when you get in trouble. It's hard to adhere.
You got me more confused. I'll figure it out.
You should only, you really can't discuss something that's not agendized. It's that simple, so you want to keep it to a minimum.
So correct, to discuss the item you want to bring on the agenda, you bring up a description, here's what I would like, we've all been doing that. And all I did was I said, is there an interest from my fellow board members to put those things on the agenda? And I think what I heard is that that's not appropriate.
Not a good thing.
You don't want to create consensus or have a meeting of the minds of a majority on anything that hadn't been agendized.
I understand, but the issue is to put it on the agenda. It's not the substantive issue. It's we would like a presentation on the following issue.
I would say just call Russell and Dr. Oviedo and ask to put it on the
I
agenda.
know, so then my question is, if they say no, but this is the reason we added this item to the agenda from our board retreat, was so that we would all have an opportunity to say there's things we want. And then the superintendent would give feedback on the dais. Is there other interest? Do people want to talk about it? Do they not want to talk about it? That's what I understood. If we don't have to get, like I said, I'm a little bit confused. I'm just going to continue to itemize my items, and then we'll take it from there. But
Yeah,
because I thought we were trying to seek consensus that there were at least, I thought, 3 people who would be interested and would support that new item.
And tonight we found out that we can't go about it.
So that's why I'm confused. So
Brief discussion, you can take away from that. Your superintendent can take away from the response, whether there's sufficient interest to bring it back. You follow up with the board president. You just want to avoid substantive discussion, even if the only point is whether you bring it to a further agenda. One may think that the fact that it dies is doing business on an item that is being discussed. It's really not whether it passes that's important. It's that all business is done on something that's transparent and it's been on the agenda ahead of time. So that's the trade-off.
Okay.
So a brief discussion would be fine, but if you're seeking consensus, then you're really getting a decision-making collectively. Even if you're not going to bring it for a final action, you're still governing on something that the public hasn't been made aware of. So just keep the discussion to a minimum and you'll be fine.